Yeah. Welcome to this week's edition of Hawk Talk. I'm Seth Morkirky.
I'm Susanna Moberg.
We have a guest who's new to DSU this year, so we're excited to have him on for the first time. Go ahead and introduce yourself, where you're from, and what you do here at DSU.
My name's Eric Nelson, the new head women's basketball coach, and I'm originally from Nebraska.
Yeah, and you have a lot of experiences coaching. You coached at a different school in our conference, and I'll let you say where that's from. But talk about the coaching experience and the playing experience that brought you here to DSU.
Yeah, I think I played college basketball, a while ago. Don't want to date myself there, but I knew then that's kind of what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a coach at some point, and whether that was going to be at the high school or college level, you never really know. Right. And I was blessed to play for a really good college coach and got the opportunity to coach under him, when I was done, and ended up coaching high school for a couple years, but I always had that itch to coach college, and that's something I kind of always wanted to do. So got a job as a assistant men's coach at Mount Marty, and then that led to a head women's coach at Presentation in Aberdeen, which is where I came from, and did that for 5 years, and now I'm here. So it's kind of been a whirlwind this last couple months, just getting here kind of late in August, but I enjoy the people here, I enjoy the community. It's going to be a really good step for me, and I'm excited to get started.
Yeah. Do you think it'll be weird for you? You mentioned that you coached at Presentation, and we play Presentation, a little bit of a rivalry.
Yep.
Will it be weird for you to play against those girls that you coached?
I don't think it'll be weird. It'll be different for sure. Yeah. They have some different players, but it's always the ones that you recruit and that I have a relationship with already. Yeah. That'll be kind of weird to see them on the other side of the floor. And I'm rooting for those girls for 28 of their games. The only two I don't want them to win is when they play us. And so there's a good group over there, and we did a lot of special things last year. We made the conference tournament for the first time in school history. So there's a lot of good things that happen there, and I'm excited for those girls. But like I said, I'm rooting for them except for when they play us.
Yep.
Yeah, and the coaching experience, the playing experience, you stayed in the Midwest for pretty much all of it. So was that a conscious choice, or was it kind of you were just taking a job wherever? Or how did that come about?
And that's a good question. I think I'm a family person. Like I said, I'm from Nebraska, and I think I've got nieces and nephews right now that I don't get to see a ton being a coach because it's obviously a kind of a full-time thing. But I want to stay around the Midwest. I just think the values of the Midwest carries over to the players. You want to see hard work, you want to see dedication. You want to see coachability, and I think, and I'm not speaking bad about East Coast, West Coast, but you have those Midwest values in a lot of the players, and I think that's what you want to build your team around. So I think staying in the Midwest really helps that, and I honestly think, especially for women's basketball, there's some really, really good basketball in the Midwest. You look at the NCAA and the NAI, especially in the NAI, a lot of the teams in the Midwest are the ones winning the national championship. Right. So I think it's a combination of wanting to stay here, but I think this gives you the best opportunity to build a team as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And who else is in your coaching staff with you, and how did you as a group kind of come together?
Yeah, so Haley Freyek is a girl who played for me at PC, so she played 2 years under me, and then actually through some other circumstances actually went and played a Division II for her last year. And she's always been a person that her and I have always kind of gelled. You can always tell the player that gets what you're trying to do and has that mentality. And I've been trying to get her to be a coach for probably the last 5 years. And she always said, "Coach, I actually want to make money, so I want to go and do something else." Right. So she actually was working at like an Anytime Fitness, is really good at that personal training stuff, but has always done the basketball stuff kind of during the summer with me. And when this opportunity came along, she's from Lemon, which is about 70 miles from here. So this kind of gave her an opportunity to get back closer to home and then also kind of hop back into the basketball side of things. So I'm really excited to have her. And then obviously Coach Vaughn is other Coach Vaughn's wife. Yeah, I don't know how to say that, but so Haley Vaughn is helping us out as well. And she runs an ECI-AU program in North Dakota. So just having that with recruits is big for me too. So her knowing the area, kind of been around here. She coached at NDSU and UMary, so she's done the coaching part of it. She's been in North Dakota, and that's one thing I kind of struggle with as far as recruiting. I don't know the high school coaches around here. I don't know how that works, and so just having her, having those kind of ins in the North Dakota high school coaches and the AAU will really help us moving forward with recruiting.
Absolutely. And you kind of inherited this team, sort of. I know you got a couple girls that you picked up. Late in the season, late in August, but you kind of inherited this team. So what changes, if any, have you kind of implemented to the team?
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of changes you can make when you get the job in August, for better or for worse. But it's just one of those things where it's a feeling out process. You know, the players are trying to feel out my style of play and kind of what I want, and I'm trying to see what their strengths and their weaknesses are, and then trying to build a philosophy around that. So it's going to take a little while. And we know that, you know, we played Minot in the first half was pretty ugly, and so it's a feeling out process, and it's going to take a little while. But I give the girls credit; they've came in and they've busted their tails, they've listened, they've been coachable. They're a really good group of girls, so that part makes it pretty easy. But there's going to be some growing pains, and there's going to be some times where it's going to look kind of bad and kind of ugly. But we just got to keep kind of keep moving on and just kind of keep getting better day by day. And I know that's the typical coach speak, but especially for a new coach with a new system, that literally is very true this year.
Yeah. Absolutely. You talked a little bit about this, but how much recruiting did you really get to do for this season? And kind of what are you looking forward to this next year when you get to do a little more?
Yeah, really, Dakota Dosh was the one person we signed, and I can't even take credit for that. I have to give Ashley Larson credit for that. Dakota was signed at a D2 earlier in Texas, and just kind of didn't necessarily like the feel and kind of being that far away from home, and was friends with Ashley, who was already on the team, and said, hey, you know, we're kind of getting a new coach. As soon as we get one, we'll kind of let you know how that goes. And so we were able to sign her, which I can't even take credit for that. So I'll give Ashley credit for that. But you know, moving forward, I think it's about building a program and building a culture that you want. And I know Coach Stanton has talked to us about maybe having like a JV program, so we might have a couple more numbers than a program, you know, kind of moving forward. But that allows us to get kind of some more freshmen maybe from the area that we can kind of take a chance on, you know, that we can let them develop as freshmen and sophomore and maybe play some JV. And then hopefully they can help us as juniors and seniors. So I think it helps us build a program. It helps us get some of those girls around the area, and it still allows us to go out and get some, you know, junior college kids where we need to. So I'm pretty excited about the, you know, kind of the potential that we have for the upcoming, you know, year or two, and hopefully kind of get the program back where it was, you know, going to the national tournament a couple years ago.
Yep, absolutely. Well, we've been doing this game. We've been playing Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader, but we're not. We're taking a week off.
Okay.
It's Halloween week.
I'm okay with that.
It's Halloween week. We thought we'd
Yep.
you know be kind and not give you any tricks, give you treats. Forgot to mention it's our Halloween episode.
Oh, happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween, everyone. We want to ask, what is your favorite Halloween candy to from when you were little to even now?
Butterfinger. Butterfinger, yep, that's my one.
Really?
Like if I have a Blizzard, it's always Butterfinger. So that's my one candy that's I'll pick it out if I see a bunch of things. I'll you know, kind of go to the bottom, say, hey, where's those Butterfingers at? So that's my guilty pleasure.
All right, great.
good.
Seth, do you have a candy that you always?
I really like Reese's right now.
Right now.
Right now. Well, I don't know. I was always a Butterfinger fan when I was younger, and like seriously, that's all I would eat. And then Reese's and Hershey's. I just like chocolate a lot. Sour gummy worms are like every time I take a trip, I get those. Every time. I don't know why. But I got. What
See,
about you?
I don't like Butterfingers. I don't really like them. But I like Snickers and Twix. So those are my two if I would get them.
Left Twix or right Twix?
Right Twix.
Wait, is that a thing? Is that
It
a real
is
thing?
a real thing.
Okay.
To choose your side. Next time we interview you, we'll ask you what side Twix. So let's talk a little bit about, you mentioned Ashley Larson. Let's talk a little bit about her. And I don't want to mess any of this stuff up, so I'm going to read this. But it says here that she's a second team all-conference last year. She averaged 11.7 points per game and 34.3 something.
Shooting percentage from the field.
Shooting
Yep,
percentage
shooting from the floor. Yep. from
Boom.
the field.
Okay,
Yep.
so what are you expecting from her this year based on those numbers and that?
Yeah, honestly, we're expecting a lot, and I know that's something that, you know, not maybe some players would kind of back away from. Maybe like, oh, the pressure's on me, but she's a senior, and she's been there before. You know, she's the leader of our team. She was voted captain of our team by a landslide, so everybody knows she's kind of the one. And even our last two games, I believe she scored 20 against Minot and 19 against Brandon. So she's our one girl that we can kind of count on to go out there and play well. And as she goes, we go. And so it's kind of one of those things where she just does a little bit of everything. You know, she's a good defender. She rebounds well. You know, she makes her teammates better, and she's a good scorer for us. So she's the one that kind of held this team together too through the coaching change, and you have to give her a lot of credit for that. She was the one texting everybody saying, "Hey, you know, interviews are coming up. You know, we'll have somebody soon," and she really held everybody together, and she made my job a lot easier. And you know, when I was hired, you know, she was the first one to reach out to me and say, "Congrats, coach. You know, can't wait to get you on campus," that type of thing. So she's just a great person too, and I think that's what that's what I enjoy about her. We love her as a leader. We love her as a player, and she's going to be the person I think we're going to miss the most, next year, just because she is kind of the pulse of the team. Mm-hmm. So I give her a lot of credit for what she did last year. And we hope that maybe she can get a first-team all-conference this year, and she plays well. But she's definitely the leader of our team, and we're expecting big things from her. But she's definitely going to deliver those big things for us too.
Yeah. And I mean, as a leader, you got other seniors on the team as well. And I think this first couple of games, first half of the season is going to be up and down, like you said, trying to feel out the pulse of the team, trying to feel out how everybody plays together, coaches together. So what are you expecting from the seniors and the other leaders on the team to, really get the team together and carry you through these things? Yeah,
and I honestly think it is that day-by-day mentality, and because right now sometimes we have good practices and sometimes we have not so good practice, and honestly that's what we're focused on right now. And we talked about that yesterday before our practice, to say it's 100% on every rep, on every drill, and then that will create the good practices. It's just focusing in on those small things. And we talked about that in the locker room at Minot too. It's you can't play 40 minutes and think of it as a whole. Like every single time you're out there playing, like you want to play as hard as you can, because then if you can do that, the rest will take care of itself. So we talked about kind of playing in 5-minute chunks, and we're trying to do that in practice as well. Hey, let's make this drill the best drill that we can. And I think the girls are finally starting to figure that part of it out. And even for Sydney Clark's a senior, but she's a transfer as well, so it's only a 1-year type of thing. So we're really relying on those girls and their experiences at other places to kind of pick that level of intensity up, and we expect a lot out of them. I know we were picked last in the conference by the coaches, and all I had to do was take that and tape it to their locker and say, hey, nobody expects anything from us. So if you don't expect anything from yourselves, how can we? And so I think that was kind of an eye-opener for them, and I think it was good, and I think we needed that, because that means we can play with a little chip on our shoulder, and that starts in practice and can kind of carry over to those games. And the good part is our conference season isn't until that second half, so we can work some kinks out. We can kind of work on a bunch of things, and then once that second half comes around, I think we'll be ready to go.
And you're already starting to see a little success. You had a big win against Brandon College this weekend. Yeah, absolutely. So can you tell us a little bit about what led to that success, or what the team did? Yeah,
it wasn't pretty, I'll tell you that. We didn't watch it a lot on film, because there was a lot of things that we didn't do well. But I think that's a testament to the team, is that we didn't play well, and we were still able to go on the road and win. It's hard to sit on a bus for 6 hours and play. No matter what anybody says, it's really hard. And we went to Canada, where there's different rules. They play by the FIBA rules, so the 3-point line's different. It's 24-second shot clock. There's just different rules. You can only call timeouts at certain times. So it was fun. It was a learning experience. But give the girls credit. They played hard. I wouldn't say we played well, but we got a win, and so that's all that matters. We're 1-0 right now. The Minot game was exhibition, which was a time for us to kind of play some different people and kind of play some different spots, and so that was a good learning experience. But we're 1-0, and at the end of the day, that's what matters right now.
Absolutely. And in the next couple of weeks, I think you have a couple more exhibition just other non-conference games that you're heading to Montana a couple of times, across the state, and to a couple different games. So, what's the plan for the next couple of weeks? What are you going to be working on with those?
So obviously we play Jamestown on the 6th at home, so it'll be our home opener, and they're a really good team. They're very long, they're really athletic, so we're going to have our hands full, but I think that's going to be a really good test of where we're at. They just beat Dakota State, which is a conference rival of ours, and they were picked like 3rd or 4th, so this will be a good kind of measuring stick game for us. And playing at home is always nice. We're playing on the road a ton this year, so that will be good to have the home crowd there. So that first home game is always important, because as a coach, you always want to win your home games. That's kind of the goal, is to win all the home games, steal a couple on the road, and that's how you get to have a good record. So we got that on Wednesday, and then we're road warriors for a while. We go to Montana for I think 4 or 5 games in a row, and it is what it is. That's our schedule, and we have to go and play well and continue just to build our program.
Yeah, and that we had a couple weeks ago. We had the Blue Hawk Blitz right after the homecoming. What was it? Homecoming
pep rally. I called it the tailgate every
Blue
day.
Hawk Blitz, and there was a large crowd there, and it was a really fun environment. It was cool to see the girls come out, and some of the girls doing the 3-point contest against the guys. But what was that experience like for you as a coach, and as for the girls as a player? And what are we expecting from the crowd this year?
And it was awesome. I have to thank you guys for putting that on. That was a really cool scene, just to get all the college together, the athletes together in one building. building and kind of rooting for each other. And you know, I played at a small college and came from a small college, and you have to have the support from the other athletes. Right. That's you know, how you create a home environment. And so it was awesome to see the football team there, and you know, all the rodeo team and the esports team, and it was awesome just to see everybody there together for one common goal. You know, that's DSU. And so it was awesome. Just the 3-point contest. You know, the girls loved just being in front of a big crowd like that, and hopefully we can get a lot of the athletes and you know, a lot of the community to come out and to support us. And I know that comes along with winning too. You know, so hopefully we can play well and play a good style and brand of basketball that's I want to say eye-friendly, but it's fun to watch. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so hopefully we can play well and play hard, and hopefully give the community, you know, a good team to come out, support, and watch.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we have one question that's kind of become a staple question of Hawk Talk. We ask everyone on their first time on the show.
Oh.
So you're new to DSU. You've been here for just a little bit now, but so far, what does DSU mean to you?
Honestly, I think it's community support and it's the people. I've seen a lot of people reach out to me, people that don't know me, that I don't know them, are like, hey, welcome to Dickinson. You know, we're rooting for you. We hope the basketball team does well. And you know, I came from Aberdeen, where Northern was in town, and so everybody was kind of Northern, and there wasn't a lot of community support for PC. And so that's what I think right away is just the community support. You know, this is a community that rallies around Dickinson, and I'm excited for that. You know, and so I think that's really cool. And then just the people. You know, our athletic department is awesome. You know, the foundation with Seth is awesome, and I think it just speaks volumes that everybody is heading in the same direction, and everybody wants what's best for everybody. You know, there's no, I'm not rooting against the football team because I don't want to see them do well. You know, everybody's rooting for each other, and I think that's awesome to see, and I think that's really cool. And so far, just being here a couple of months, I think that's just been the biggest thing that I've seen.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you. Well, we got a gift for you off camera. These are our Hawk Talk shirts. You've now officially flown on Hawk Talks. Thank you to Immovable Ministries for sponsoring us there.
Perfect, thank you.
We're looking forward to the season. I know you got a couple games. I mean, the Janae Moore night, a couple alumni weekends that we're really looking forward to. So coming later in the season, second half, we'll have quite a few events for you guys to come and check out. But thanks for coming on, Coach. We're excited for
Awesome, thank you guys, appreciate it.
Yeah, and we'll be back right after this with another coach.
Hey guys, it's Tyler with Immovable Ministries here, and I'm so excited to be able to be the sponsor for this year's Hawk Talk. If you'd like to find out more about Immovable Ministries, you can visit our website at immovableministries.com.
Welcome back to this week's episode of Hawk Talk, our Halloween episode. We have a frequent flyer on the show today, but we'll still have you introduce yourself, where you're from, and what you do here at DSU.
For friend of the show.
Oh, sorry, friend of the show, excuse me.
But I'm Shane Whitcup, track and field cross-country coach at Dickinson State University.
Yeah, and you're one of the only people I would ever give a shirt to beforehand.
I had to ask twice, but
had to ask,
my feelings
you
are
begged me for it. I gave you a shirt beforehand, so we want to thank Immovable Ministries for giving us these shirts. I'll give my spiel before the show even starts. All right, you're done. Just kidding. Will you
wrap it up?
Wrap it up. So, I mean, conference track has been, or cross country. Where are we at?
It's spring, fall
It's
time.
cross country.
But
right
cross
now.
country, it's been kind of up and down. Not the girl wise, but like being able to run. Not the girls or the guys wise, but being able to actually run. You guys have had to take a couple weekends off because of the weather and things like that. So just take us through this past season so far.
So North Dakota fall, you don't know exactly what you're going to get. So you know that early in the year, you know it's going to be too hot to run comfortably, and then you know late in the year it's going to be chilly. So we actually, a sweet spot. So we've ran on courses that were in good shape. We went to UND's meet in Grand Forks, and there was this much water on parts of the course and running in mud. And weirdly, the week before that, we didn't go to a meet in Sioux Center, Iowa, because they closed the road in Fargo. There was that much rain and snow. That was the week that the football bus slid into the ditch. So the last couple of weeks has been a little bit of a rodeo, trying to figure out what our situation is going to be like as far as travel. But with that said, we went to Moorhead State, had great weather. We went to Billings and had water on the course the next week, which is a little bit different. Then we went to Jamestown. We had wind, but it was honestly, that course is pretty sheltered, so that was a great week. Then the next week we were supposed to go out to Dordt to go and run against some pretty good competition, and they had okay weather there. It's just between here and there, south of us and Spearfish, they had all that rain and snow, and then it was kind of whiteout conditions from Jamestown to Fargo. So we didn't end up going down there, which has its positives and negatives. You get another decent week of training. Yeah, we're still alive. That's always good. And then we had some situations where Bailey Smith and Jake Smith ended up not going to that Jamestown meet because they had a death in the family. And there was another situation where Tristan Strom, with the new NAI eligibility center website, there were some issues getting his things through right away, so he missed those first 2 meets. So we wanted to get him another meet, so we sent the guys the week of homecoming out to Grand Forks because it was supposed to be 59 degrees. And you want to take advantage of 59 degrees if you can, but we didn't know that there was going to be so much water on the course. Otherwise, we probably wouldn't have done that either. So some days you just got to make a determination of, is a good day of practice worth, or is that going to be better than going out and having a soggy meet? So Jake Smith sprained his ankle out there in the mud, which is kind of unfortunate. It's the last thing you want to happen this time of year. But we're on the mend now, and I think we're ready to go this coming week. So then this last week we went to Mount Marty, and it was a little bit brisk and a little windy, but it really wasn't too bad. We had some good performances. At the top of our lineup on the men and the women's side, I felt really good about those performances. So I feel pretty good where we're at.
Yeah. And let's shift a little bit. We're going to talk less about the team and more about you.
All right.
You are somewhat of a track legend
Not
here.
really, even.
Yeah, around here, you truly
You
are.
the pictures of the national champions.
Okay.
I can pick you out.
So
So tell us a little bit about your collegiate track career. Tell us about how you got here.
So let's just set the record straight. There's nothing legendary about me other than, I was fortunate enough to be here at a time when it was a special time in DSU athletics in general and for track and field. Coach Stetton came here in 2000, I think was his first year, and the track program was kind of in a rebuilding situation where we had a few really good athletes coming in. Coach Collins had just went into the Hall of Fame this last year. I competed, I never competed against her. She's female, but I watched her all the way through high school. She's an amazing athlete. And Coley Rush was another athlete from Wolf Point that I had competed against, regularly great athletes. But other than that, our numbers were way down, and we weren't super competitive on the conference side of things. The conference had just merged. We used to be North Dakota only conference, and Jamestown was pretty dominant at that time. So they had won, I don't know exactly how many conference titles in a row, but better than 15. I've heard 20 years in a row that they had been a pretty dominant program. And then University of Mary was a decent program, kind of falling in behind them, and then it was really us and Minot trying to figure out, all right, who's going to be the third or fourth team in the conference, just kind of based on numbers. And Coach Stanton come in, and I knew him because he had coached against us in football at Terry High School, and then he had gone to Belgrade. But I knew who he was. My first experience with him was refereeing junior high basketball he's not a great referee. Heck of an athletic director. Love him as a boss. He's a bad basketball ref, no matter what he says. Out there coaching the Brubaker kid, while he's reffing our game, So, but we won anyway, so you can't keep us down. So that was, it was a tight game, and it shouldn't have been. He knows it. But he was a good guy, and I knew his brothers. His brothers were actually when I was younger, I lived in Miles City, and I actually had Rob and Dan as middle school instructors. So I really liked Dan in particular. I thought was just an awesome guy, and Rob was a good guy too. So I, decided, hey, I kind of want to give this a go, and I came out here along with a bunch of other kids, from my area. So at that point in time, kind of Eastern C track and field was kind of on the upswing, and he took a ton of those kids out here with him. So a lot of the Class B and Class C kids from Montana decided to come out, and the program very quickly, we didn't know that we were good. We all thought we were great. That's kind of, talk about legend. We all had legendary aspirations. We all thought we were pretty important. But we come out and just kind of accidentally showed up at the conference meet in Valley City. I think it might be the last time there was a conference meet in Valley City. They just got their track redone finally. But we won the conference, and it was this amazing thing where I can still remember going through this, and everybody on the team scored. We had this little tiny team, and we had beat Jamestown, which had a huge team at that point, and beat University of Mary, who we always thought was like the evil empire at that time, because pretty much. But that's, they thought we were all hicks and hillbillies and stuff, so there's no love lost there. Still don't like the University of Mary. But the deal is that like we won, and it was like, oh my gosh, like we can be good, right? If everybody, and I think at that point in time we knew like we've got a talented squad, and that we shouldn't come in hoping that we're going to do well or trying to do well. We should come out with expectations that we can compete for a conference title, and we will. Well, we went to nationals, and we took a bus to nationals, and we didn't have that many kids, so we actually shared a bus with Black Hills going down there, and I mean, which was cool, we actually got along with those kids for some reason. We got along with them, and it was a cool experience to get to, go down to nationals, and we had a bunch of freshmen. We had a bunch of freshmen and Coley Rush, and we got 8th in the nation, and 8th in the nation. That's not really like, oh, we're going down there, we're trying to get 8th. We didn't know that until the meet was over. Like, oh, we got the 8th most points. That's great. And then, the next year, we did the same thing. Then our roster numbers were up, right? So coach had a couple of years to kind of get recruiting kind of underway, and we had those international kids. We had 3 international kids showed up that made a pretty big impact. 2 of them decided that they were going to sit out for a year, right? They weren't sure if they wanted to stay. They weren't sure, right? So Aaron Clare and Trevor Berry, who are in our Hall of Fame, weren't 100% sure what they were going to do. So they had been talking to a few Division I coaches, and they were talented enough to compete at that level. So they were kind of waffling back and forth, and it honestly, as a team culture thing, they were, we were tight as a group, and that was kind of like what you don't want to. Well, we went to conference and got 2nd. Had some weird extraneous things happen. Didn't get the 4x1 started. Couple other things happened, and University of Mary had a great day, and they beat us, which was a big eye-opener, right? Because now we know, all right, we thought we were better, but we're not invincible. Well, we go on nationals, and on the halfway through the 3rd day, like we're still in the driver's seat to win a national championship, right? So with 2 of the best guys ever come here are sitting out at this point, and we are legitimately within a couple of points, and we were as surprised as anybody. I know you can ask Coach Stanton how he was feeling, but I think he was surprised as we were. It's like, holy smokes, we put up a ton of points. But in those days, the field was a little bit more spread out. There wasn't, points kind of got concentrated there for a while. But at that point in time, the points were pretty well spread out, and it was us and Lindywood, and it kind of come down to the wire, and we ended up getting 2nd by just a few points. But then we knew, right? Like, hey, everybody on this bus has got to go home and they got to get themselves ready, and like we can do this if we really kind of put things together. We are a piece or two away. Well, Aaron and Trevor knew that like if one of them wouldn't have been sitting out, we would have been bringing home the trophy, and they decided, all right, we're coming back. And like then it was on, you know what I mean? And then we won 3 straight.
You won 3 in a row. Wow.
And you know, as far as that goes, like you got to understand. For me, I was from a little tiny Class E school. I didn't know, you know, I thought I was good. I tried really hard, and I was fortunate enough to be state champion. When you come to college, it's a next step, you know what I mean? And winning the conference title is a big thing, you know. And then qualifying for nationals, and I was fortunate enough to qualify for nationals.
So you're a legend.
No, I was qualified. I was there. You know, I made the finals, right? But you guys got to understand how special my teammates were, right? And you talk about legends. Like I was on an amazing team, and I was fortunate enough to train as hard as I could to kind of, you know, maximize my abilities, and hopefully, you know, I ended up, you know, sustaining some injuries and coming back from them. But you know, the culture was legendary, right? That's really it, and that was probably the thing that I, you know, missed the most when it was over, and it's probably the thing that I value the most when I'm trying to put a team, you know, together. Is those guys out there competing hard for each other, because I had an awesome experience, and you know, when I decided to come back, it was to try and give kids like me the experience that I had. So.
Well,
That's
you're
a long
very
story.
humble, but you're still a legend to us.
You're still a legend.
Well,
yeah.
all right.
You can find your picture or your face on the picture of the national.
Well,
champions, and you're still a legend in our book.
All right, that's good, I guess.
Well, we have a fun question. Well, I guess it's not a question, but we want you to do your best impersonation of your wife, Anne, if you can. Because we always have, what we do, we always have your kids give an impersonation of you. So you give one of someone else. Without getting in trouble.
Yeah, without.
My best impression of Anne, honestly, is to just give you guys like the business face, which would look something like this.
She does do that.
So if you say something to her, she has very poignant nonverbal communication. So if you're not holding up your end of the bargain, or if you're slacking or something, like all she's got to do is throw you that look. And I've actually tweeted it out. If you want to go find my Twitter page, I got a picture, I was just looking at it last night, of Anne giving me attitude about some workout that I wanted to do that day.
What's your Twitter?
I think it's just @Shane Whitcup.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Look
it
it up on Twitter. We'll find that. We'll bring it up.
But no, she's one of those that like you get your yin and your yang, right? She definitely kind of balances me out, and she can be. She'll get on you if you are slacking. So even me.
Believe it, yeah.
So she had me emptying the dishwasher and, you know, making food last night, and like she keeps me in.
That's good. We need that. Well, I mean, because you got to take care of those kids.
Well,
take care of the kids, take care of the track team, take care of that. I mean, you got to take care of these kids.
Well, and the other thing too is like, this is what, you know, everybody asks me, all right, you know, because I've known my wife since we were 7 years old. Like, all right, no, jeez, how do you know she's the one? It's like, all right, well, all the things in my life, you know, some things happened because I really wanted them to happen. Some things accidentally happened, and some things happened because she made me better. And that's like what everybody, you know, should be wanting out there, is someone, you know what I mean? Like, I help fill in some of her gaps, and she helps fill in some of my gaps, and she definitely, like, she'll you know, propelled me in ways, just, you know, even just belief in me, you know what I mean? Like, you can do this, you know what I mean?
You got me like
so
crying
gosh,
over
I know.
here. Aren't you emotional for this cute stuff?
as a coach, you're going to talk to kids about a lot of things, and relationship issues. I talk to them about that stuff too, and they ask me all kinds of questions. So believe it or not, I had that conversation more than once.
That's good. Well, I mean, other than relationship issues, you talk about probably athletics and how to run and things like that. So how are you getting? Yeah, I know, it's pretty good. How are you, proud of myself. How are you getting the team ready for the conference meet in a couple weeks?
Okay, so, you know, it's that time of the year where everybody's fighting off cold. So I'm I'm a super nerd, so I read and I'm trying to figure out, all the non-obvious ways to kind of maximize things, because a lot of kids, will grind themselves up. And I was one of those kids that just thought, if you work harder for longer, you're going to be better. And the truth is that there is a time for that, but there's also a time for rest. So right now, I was just going through a lot of our plans for the next kind of 3 weeks when I had to leave and come up here. And, we're looking at, all right, how long are the hard days? How fast are they? How are we going to deload these athletes to get them ready? But, I went through yesterday and went through, 4 or 5 different strategies. So, all right, if you guys are feeling sick, you just got to make sure you communicate with me, because we can go and do some other things, right? So if it's 27 degrees out and it feels like 5 yesterday, right? So we had some kids run inside and actually do some cross training. Just if we can take impact off, how we're going to optimize sleep, things like that. And then some other things too, just like, all right, you guys, how can we make the primary stress our training stress and take some of these other things, kind of out of the loop. So that's a counseling process as well. So, if you're trying to improve young athletes' performance, you're in the business of behavior change. And because, kids, you guys are at the age where, you've got just the best hormone profile that you could ever have. So it's like, all right, but probably the worst sleep habits, nutritional habits, and those things, right? Because you've got this incredible physiology that can buffer that. So
Training.
how can we get them to it's a lot less about how hard the workout is and a lot more about how we're going to recover from it than anything else right now.
There's your wisdom for that. I was going to ask you to give us the best wisdom, and I think that's probably the best. You can
Best
give us,
wisdom?
so
Eat
appreciate that.
vegetables, okay?
Eat
There, I can give you one.
I think
Yeah,
it.
eat vegetables.
And as you're working with your runners, especially your seniors, what kind of things are you doing with them, not only to prepare them for conference, but to keep them well, I guess, as they're going into their senior season and finishing strong?
Just keeping things in perspective, you know what I mean? Like, you can't let pressure, crush you kind of at this point. We got a couple of seniors on the girls' side that are running really good last week, JC Wilson and Lisa Townsend. And both of them have had peaks, in their athletic careers and valleys. And it's just trying to figure out, all right, how do we ride this out to where we're peaking at the right time and we're avoiding some of those other things. And they're both running fantastic right now. And I think it's a lot less about maximizing the peak. It's just like we're just in a slow, steady kind of build, and they've been able to avoid injuries. Ernie, our other senior on the guy side, he was a little bit nicked up earlier, but he's actually coming on right now at the right time. So that's basically what we're trying to do. They've got a lot of miles on their legs. And so, just being a collegiate athlete and running in high school as well. So it's about, all right, everybody's going to come to the season with something. How do we address that? And that's the other thing. And she helps out a ton. You know what I mean? She's absolutely a fantastic resource for me and, for them as well. And she lives it. You know what I mean? She's at the gym working out right now. And her nutrition is on point and not to the point where she doesn't enjoy herself, but just for 80% of the time you got to make good decisions. 20% of the time, eat whatever you want. So
Okay, I'm taking that with me.
Noted.
You gotta do the
Seth
math.
did bring donuts to the office today.
got to do the math though.
Those are fine,
Make
yeah.
sure it's only 20%.
Well, Lisa, she's been, I think this is her 3rd week as the player of the week or runner of the week.
Yeah.
And so, she and Hunter was a runner of the week. So, we got some guys on the team and girls on the team who are going to be put on probably quite a show at the conference meet. So, what does that do? I know cross country is more of a team
It is.
sport than people probably think, and Hunter's given us a good reflection to that. But how does that all work? How Lisa's kind of leading the team, but then JC's right behind and Emily's right behind as well.
So right now we're in a situation where, on the men's side, it's going to be tough to beat Dakota State. They have got 2 just phenomenal runners. But the truth is, they went and they won Mount Marty. They were running against a bunch of GPAC schools. It was a quality conference. They won it by 1 point. They beat Northwest. Hunter Flynn ran right behind their second runner. And their first runner was an All-American last year, and their second runner was only 10 seconds slower than him. And then Hunter Flynn's coming in right in there.
There we go.
So he's running that well. But how it works is really in cross country, the strength of your third runner, fourth runner, and fifth runner, really. Because if you've got a fifth runner that's going to place 30th, that's 30 points on your score, and lowest score wins. That's how cross country works. It's like golf, lowest score wins. So if you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you get a perfect score. That's 15.
You win.
Nobody's beating you.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right? No, they're not going to do that, but their top 2 runners are tough to beat. And on any given day, I wouldn't bet against Hunter Flynn because he's an ultra competitive kid, and he's in great shape right now, and he's healthy.
There you
go. But it's just, we have been really fortunate the last couple of years with a lot of really good juniors and seniors, and the time has come where those kids have graduated, and now we've got freshmen and sophomores that just aren't there yet. They will be there, but it takes time. 8K is a little bit more challenging to jump from 5K to 8K than for girls to just go from 5K to 5K. It's pretty. That's a pretty easy transition. Now on the girls' side, it's actually tighter than people think. So Dakota State actually they got us last week by 1 point.
Wow.
Now Bailey Smith didn't run, and if she does and she runs well, okay. And Emily Keene had a little bit of an asthma episode during the race, and still had a really good performance considering that on a really super hilly course, and they got us by 1 point. So it's not anything that we need to panic about, but we also need to understand we got to bring it on that day. It's how you run on that day. But the girls are motivated, and pressure creates diamonds. So we got to make sure that
Somebody tweeted that.
we gotta make sure that we are just showing up on that day. But we've got 2 of the best runners in the conference running right now, and Emily can. If things go well, we can go 1, 2, 3, 4. Our top girls, and little Haley Overlander, and then we got this other girl from Glasgow that I got out, pulled her off the track squad, and said, "Hey,
Come run for us.
come on." Well, she's run cross country before, but Emily Kolstad, keep an eye on her. She's going on about 2 weeks of practice, but she'll have 2 more weeks of practice. It'll be a month. She's a talented runner as well. So she's a really good 800-meter runner on the track and a really good 400-meter runner on the track as well, and has run cross country pretty dang good. But we just gotta, we're still kind of coming along with her. So.
Well, I mean, as always, we appreciate you coming on the show.
No worries.
It's been very fun, great talking with you. Gosh, I feel like we could just sit here forever and just keep
all day. Yep.
But we don't have all day, so we're gonna close out. We've asked you this question of what does DSU mean to you? We've asked that before, so we want to ask. I mean, why do you keep coming back to DSU, and why do you think people should come to DSU and as athletes and as
So I'll give you my recruiting pitch. You know what I mean? It's the people. You know what I mean? So it's brick buildings are brick buildings, but the experience that I had was amazing here, and the kids that I've got right now, every job's going to have its stressful points, but the kids are awesome. I love every single one of them, and the reason that I'm so invested in their wellness and their academics and performance is just because I really want what's best for them. It's not about me and my goals. It's not about me or our teams being compared to the teams that I was on. It's not like that. What I want for them to do is get that self-actualization thing. You know what I mean? Where they get to the point where they feel really good about where they ended up when they were done at DSU.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for coming on. I mean, you already got your shirt, so I don't have to give you one.
So no one's throwing a shirt
No one's throwing a
from
shirt
off.
to us, but you got your you flew on Hawk Talk. You've officially done it. Next time you come on, we'll give you a little pin that says "Friend of Hawk Talk."
Friend of the show.
Friend of the show, maybe.
We'll write it down.
I'm
We'll write it
I'm
down.
pretty sure that was on First and 10. A friend of the show.
Friend of the show.
I think that's where I got
We
it.
can do it.
Well, we'll be right back right after this with just a quick recap of what's happened and what's going to be happening this next weekend.
Here come your Bulldogs. Steps into the throw, in the wind, down to the goal line, and caught! Touchdown, Blue Hawks!
Welcome back to Hawk Talk. We've got a super quick recap of some things that happened this past week, some things we're looking forward to in the weeks to come for DSU athletics.
Yeah, and football, they went on the road last weekend ended up losing to Valley City by
Oh
one
my
really
gosh.
tough, heartbreaking loss. So now officially, basically, playoffs start for them, even though there's still two more conference games.
Yep.
But they have to win out to keep advancing, and so they're playing Waldorf this weekend. Going to be the hardest game of the season because it's the next one, but we're excited to see what they do.
Yeah. Volleyball lost to Viterbo and lost to Waldorf. But we're looking forward to their next few games. They play Presentation and they play Mayville. So hopefully we
Mayville
start seeing
last
some
time, so
wins.
we-
Yeah.
Get
Yeah.
2 wins this weekend, kind of close
Absolutely.
out the conference season with on the uphill, so
Exactly.
that'll be fun.
Exactly.
Cross country, they were somewhere. You just talked about it, but they were somewhere. But Lisa Townsend
Yep.
is the last runner of the week for the North Star. This is the last week they did it, so I think this
Her
is her
third time.
Congratulations to
Yeah,
her.
good for
That's
her.
very exciting. We're looking forward to the conference meet next weekend.
Absolutely. Men's basketball played an exhibition game in Minot this last weekend, and they did end up losing. But they play on the 1st, correct? They play coming up.
Yeah, they play NDSU in an exhibition game, and then they
Yep.
go down to Nebraska for a couple games. I know that. And then back up here next week on the 6th against Jamestown.
Sounds right
Yeah, something
to
like that.
me.
And the
Yeah.
women's basketball that they played in Canada, got their first win, and then ended up playing that second game, that exhibition game against Minot, and lost there. But talking to Coach Nelson, I mean, we're excited for the
Yeah.
season. It's going to be fun to, I mean, just see all the girls back on the court and get
Absolutely.
a new culture kind of built like he's talking about, and see the basketball team on the rise.
Exactly. We want to say one more time thank you to Immovable Ministries, who is our sponsor this year. So thank you to Tyler for the t-shirts and for sponsoring Hawk Talk this season. We really appreciate him and everything he does for us. And with that, Hawks are up.